I think I'll do some more of this WarblesOnALot guy, just because he left a comment pissed me off. A couple other people left little snarky comments. I did delete your garbage, but you didn't make a counter argument about why life is so fucking worth it. That, you know, all the victims, all the suffering that's ever been experienced is all somehow worthwhile because human beings have accomplished what? Oh, that's right. They've managed to be hungry, and they've managed to eat, and they've managed to get horny, and they've had sex. What else have they done? Except for lie, cheat, steal, disgrace themselves in any number of ways. And nobody, of course, answered the simple questions I asked about, what percentage of the humans on planet Earth would you live their life? No one did those simple things. So, I mean, at least answer my questions. If you're going to be rude and obnoxious, then at least answer my fucking questions. But no, assholes can't do that. Even this Paxi Guerrero guy thing, woman, whatever it is. I mean, just hilarious. Talking about, I lived in 4-degree weather and I had my head chopped off with an axe and I blah, 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 blah. It's just the same old crap. Like, I mean, what can I have no honest answer to you. If somehow it's worth it to you, that's fine. It's not worth it to me. It doesn't even come close to being anything imaginable that I would say, yes, sign me up. That's the honest truth. I wouldn't want to live your stupid life. I wouldn't want to be a silly person who gets all gooey over fucking sunrises or sunsets. I mean, it's inane and silly and stupid. What else can I say? And I'm just saying to you that we, the people who didn't ask to be here, have a right to say, fuck you. Alright? Brainwash your kids. Make sure you brainwash them to be as ignorant and stupid and silly as you. And if you can't do the job correctly, then you have no business doing the job. Alright? Then at minimum, I should be allowed to have you sentenced to prison or something. Alright? If I get smart enough to say you're an asshole, you're an idiot, you had no right to do what you did because you had no fucking plan. If I call you on it and can demonstrate that you had no fucking clue what the fuck you were doing when you had kids, then yeah, you should pay a price for it. Stupid bastards. Should be at least willing to. If you think you should at least have that much integrity. You're going to play God, you should want just a little bit of accountability. I mean, you've heard about all these gods that people keep making up. They all have no accountability, take no responsibility for anything. And you're just mimicking their behavior. You're saying, I can create it and I don't have to be responsible. Because nature gave me the keys. A DNA molecule, gave you a set of keys. And you're saying, because it gave me the keys, it doesn't matter who I run over. It's nature's fault. It gave me the keys. That's all you're saying. And it's pussy bullshit. You're going to call other people weak or well, I don't even know the rhetoric they use. Looking at the dark side. Well, let's get to this. Good day, fucker. Yeah, fuck you and your good day shit. Fuck off. That was quite a rant. I suppose it was inevitable that you'd have to play the old bull, young bull. I mean, you're not, you say you're this guy with this huge IQ and all, and you still haven't figured out I'm a year older than you? Still haven't got that one figured out yet? I mean, it's right on my channel page. Whatever. What is it with the numbers? If you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. Yeah, well, that works in a lot of things, and it even probably works for this thing. But numbers are always tricky, right? Because there's all kinds of ways statistics lie. And if you don't analyze the numbers correctly, you come up with bullshit as an answer. Now, we know I think we could agree on a fact that most people would say death by steamroller is not going to be a good time. That if they could protract the death over instead of, it's only going to last a minute, right? 30 seconds, you're dead. But who wants to die death by steamroller? Right, it's going to be the miserablest 30 seconds imaginable, just horrific. Feet first. Yeah, most people are going to decline that one. Say, yeah, I'd rather have another choice. And then we can drag the suffering out over days or months or years, and then they'll say, yeah, that sounds a lot better. Now, the numbers are the same. You can have the same amount of suffering, but yeah, you spread it over 3 years, you're not even going to notice it. But you concentrate it into those 30 seconds, yeah, it's really noticeable. big time noticeable. So the numbers lie. The numbers aren't really reflective of anything. You just can't play that kind of a game with suffering. The suffering is one of those exponential kind of curvy things. It can go in all kinds of hellish directions, like torture, for example, where one day of hard torture, and you're psychologically could be ruined for life. That's what it does. It's so bad. But you're too stupid to figure that out, apparently. You appear scared to do the math. What again? Yes, so you have to use the word scared to do the math. I'm not afraid of you or any argument you can make. You're the one who's not responding to my argument. You didn't answer my question in this comment. I mean, I asked you a couple of direct questions. You couldn't figure out. They sound like questions when I said them. I think most people would say those are questions. Maybe you should try answering them. I think you might be afraid to answer the question because there is no right answer to that question, is there? If you concede that half the people on Earth are complete assholes and you wouldn't pay, you certainly wouldn't want to live their life. You'd certainly pay to avoid living their life, and that would have to be your only honest answer to the question, right? You're for honesty. Well, if you honestly answer my question, you're going to have to concede that you wouldn't voluntarily live the life of at least half the people on this planet. And would you really endure getting eaten by a fox to spend 7 weeks in a kangaroo's pouch? Would you really do that? I don't think you would. All right. On the actual percentage of life suffering, well, again, who calculates it that way? Nobody calculates the minutes. They calculate the overall. And certainly I could conceive of it being worse, to slowly die of cancer over, months or years. It's probably worse than getting eaten by a shark. But who can calculate it that way? Because there's also this qualitative aspect to it. It's like sex, all right? Maybe you don't understand this, but sex isn't just sticking your willy in a vagina, okay? It's more complicated than that. For it to be a good experience for both parties, it's a little more complicated than that. Because we're emotional animals, too. We're not just going to calculate suffering. It shows your perceptual error. Well, again, you can call it an error. I call it absolute bullshit out of your mouth, okay? Like I said, if we could monetize this stuff for real, all right, and people had to really pay for it, and they knew up front what exactly they were in for, I'm going to tell you that they would start, if they knew they were going to experience the next 3 months chemotherapy, hemorrhage, brain hemorrhage, vomiting, whole kinds of horrors. I can give you a whole detail of the horrors. I could spell it all out for them. I'm telling you that most people would say, okay, they'd start selling off their life. They'd start selling off the sunsets and the grandchildren and a lot of other things. They'd say, fuck it, it really isn't worth it. All right, if I can avoid that bad thing, I'll sell a lot of this crap, because this stuff is exactly that, crap. This good stuff is just the satisfaction of silly deprivations and needs. It's a bunch of ego crap that keeps you people running the race. Okay, this part is the real annoying part. This man, I spent most of the video refuting this idiotic argument, and the fucker comes back with the same dumb shit. So, he cut his IQ probability in half by saying this. Why do you insist on stigmatizing people who are depressed? So he's asking that rhetorically, as if I've accused him of stigmatizing him. That's not what I accused you of anyway. My argument wasn't that people who are anti-natalists aren't depressed. My argument was they have cause to be depressed. It's a depressing philosophy. That's the very nature of it. The very nature of the philosophy is realizing you've been sold a lemon. All right, you just spent $50,000 in an auto dealership. You bought a car, and you've been shown it's an absolute piece of shit. So of course you're going to be depressed. If you just found out you just built yourself a beautiful house on a piece of property, and you found out it's all fucking infested with dioxin, every inch of it, and you can't live in your beautiful house that you just spent 3 years building, you'd be depressed. That's right. And that's what antinatalism is. Antinatalism is a concession that your life is for nothing. It's a waste of your fucking suffering, that it has been, and it just is an absolute nonsensical gladiator war fought for no good reason, so we can build monuments to absolute bullshit. And it's humiliating, besides being depressing. It's fucking humiliating that I have to even explain to people how ludicrous it is that we kill 50 million people in World War II, so, you know, we can go on to iconize Hollywood stars and celebrate absolute crap. I mean, the top 10 TV shows are absolute crap. So anyway, every anti-natalist I've met is depressed. Well, like I said, I answered it in the video, and now I'm going to just answer it again. That can't be used as an argument against anti-natalism. It's just a stupid argument. The realization that your life is futile and stupid is a depressing realization. There's no way to get around that. All right? And the opposite argument can be made to you silly putty, nonsensical little Teletubby drones. You sit there and canard and make silly excuses for life, and then talk about silly things like the joy of feeding bread to a fucking wallaby or something. Like, how big a whoop-de-doo do you want me to say to that? So somehow that works with a bunch of you people who are desperate to find an excuse to justify your existence. But for people who don't need to justify it anymore, all of that tripe and crap means nothing. You can't use that as an argument anymore. You can't do your little kissing the baby bullshit anymore and pull that crap off, okay? It just doesn't work anymore. All right, I'm immune to your little silly lies about how charming and beautiful all this crap is, because it's not. It's just an illusion in your deluded little silly brain, like some Christian nut, you know, rubbing their vagina while they, you know, kiss an icon at the church or something. All right? I mean, they're silly, and you're just this fucking silly. Okay, everyone bar Diana as atheist. Well, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know why you bring up Diana as an example of what. You know, an erratic lunatic. So anyway, fuck you. So now I'm going to play the rest of his video. Yeah, I ran out of time. Memory on the other thing. Yeah, I mean, it was a 40-minute video, so I said, what the hell? But I'll play the rest of it. I haven't listened to this, so this will be my first hearing of it also. Way to go, YouTube. I mean, I preload it, and now it won't play. I just hate YouTube. I really just hate it. You know, YouTube just sucks so bad. So I just reload the page again. We'll try again. I know it's somewhere around here. Something like that.
You did and you were pleased about.
Go back here, maybe.
Life is not worth living, and thus, because nobody should have any children. You know, their aim is to have no life in the universe, because the possibility of life.
Yeah, well, look, you know, again, you haven't dealt with the fact that most people aren't reproducing at a rate sufficient to continue life, human life on Earth. So most people don't seem to have any urgency to do this populating thing. Now, maybe you could argue because they know the ignorant people are already taking care of the problem. But I really don't think that's a very good argument, because that's exactly the truth. They know the ignorant people are taking care of it. Do they really want to leave the destiny of the human race in the hands of people who are illiterate, who are living in shit? Is that really what people intend? I don't think they intend that. I think they just don't give a fuck. And that's another reason to say this life thing really doesn't work out, right? Because we get all these neurons and all this intelligence, and these fuckers can't even give a fuck.
Involves the certainty of perceiving suffering, and they think suffering is all important. Now, I think it's pretty rude, you know. It's like saying to somebody, oh, you had a marvellous life for X number of years, and then you were raped, and afterwards you had a hard time getting over the rape, but you had all these other things that you did and you were pleased about, but nothing matters except the rape because you are defined by the rape. But
yeah, well, things are defined by what happens to them, okay? I mean, here's physical assware here, okay? Now it's in one piece and it's okay, right? And it could be like that for a long time, but if I drop it and it breaks, that's right, it's broken. It's broken, all right? It's changed. Its fundamental nature has changed. And life experiences do that to you, okay? You watch maybe your sister die or some other circumstance like that. Or maybe you watch one of your kids die. In a bad way, especially if it happens in a bad way. Yeah, and it's just going to live with you. It's just not going to go away. And you almost don't want it to go away because you don't know what to do with it. You don't know how to fix it. How do you fix the injustice of it? How would you fix the injustice if somebody rapes your daughter and a court finds the guy innocent and you know he's fucking guilty, but they found him innocent because they blew it, they misprosecuted. So what's your solution? You don't have one, right? And you say it's okay, though. You could just live with the injustice. You could just say it's okay. So what? The system didn't work. My daughter's ruined. It's okay, though. It doesn't matter. I mean, fuck you. This is silly. This is nonsensical. So, yeah, there's no amount of it that you can't get over. So I'll ask you another question. Let's see if you have the balls to answer it. How many people would have to die in World War III for you to say, yes, the human experiment is just a little too ludicrous? How many have to die? Badly, okay? Not instantly. Slowly. Concentration camps, war ditches, war wounds, and all that entails, kids with their parts blown off, all that kind of bullshit. How many have to be ruined for you to say, okay, yeah, it really was probably a mistake. We should have done away with this nonsense. So give me a number, fucker.
5 minutes of suffering is predominant to everything else that happened. It's really rude to appropriate and I would say misappropriate.
Well, whatever. It's nonsensical for you to say it's rude. We just spent $2 trillion fighting stupid, idiotic wars because people got killed in 9/11. Most of them instantaneously. That's the truth of it. They died instantaneously, most of them. I mean, some died hard, jumping out of the building, but even those people all died within an hour of the incident. So the worst case scenario was not one of their life experience. So why the fuck the big fucking reaction? Why the fuck should we care? Why the fuck should we care, right? We'll just say, why not let drunk drivers drive on the road? Because if they kill, their victims are killed usually pretty quickly. They plow into them at 70 miles an hour. And so what do we? Yeah, it's just not percentage of their life experience. So why the big deal? We probably save them from cancer. You can make some kind of idiotic crap logic like that, and like somehow the game is all worth it then. I mean, why don't you just suggest that we create aliens, since there are no real aliens? Why don't we just build aliens and have them farm us, all right? And they kill us when we're 25 years old. Instantly, very quickly, just without us even knowing. All right, so let's come up with that scenario so they can farm us, and we'll give them a digestive system of some kind. They can chew on us and eat us, just to make the whole theater really cool. And shit us out, and then we drive our cars with the shit or something. That'd be really cool. They feed it back to us in little green potato chips. How about that? So that would be okay with you, right? Because the suffering is not percentage of the existence. Now, you're just a fucking God botherer, and your God is called DNA. All right? You're just in love with life. Life is life. Life is life. That's all you're doing. You're just a fucking Teletubby talking infantile drivel. You don't have a fucking argument that life is doing anything. But exactly what you're just being a drone to the mission statement of a DNA molecule, where the only mission statement is survival of the fittest, survival of the most survivable. It's not even survival of the fittest; it's just the most survivable. The thing with the viciousest strategy or the most malicious tools. Bravo the fucko. That's what something with an IQ does. Yeah. Fuck you, retard.
In order to make a debating point to shore up your position that there shouldn't be anybody born because you're miserable.
Yeah, another bullshit argument. Again, I mean, what's the incentive to be miserable exactly? I don't get it. What is it? Why should somebody who's miserable give a fuck about the future? That's not what the average depressed person who's not anti-natalist is, generally speaking, just worried about themselves, right? They don't care about the future. Why would they make an argument about somebody else's reproductive behavior? Well, that's right. They'd only make the argument if they were first offended that you fuckers thought you could play this game with them, that you throw them into a ratty nest, a world in chaos, and you subject them to this very high risk of all kinds of physical shit that can fall on them, all kinds of risk elements, like getting raped, and you just sit in your fucking dirty, stinking, rat-infested fucking hammock and talk bullshit. Like somehow it all supposed to make sense to anything with a little bit of intelligence. No, it makes no sense at all. Stupid fuck.
It's kind of where antinatalism seems to be coming from. It's hyper-nihilism.
Yeah, this is where I think I ran out the last time. Yeah, it's exactly the opposite. Again, there's nothing in nihilism, by the way, that has anything to do with giving a fuck about the future. Right? That's not nihilism, idiot. And everything about antinatalism isn't about somehow undoing people who already exist. All right? Jack Kevorkian lived to be 78 years old, something like that. And he fought the fight because he knew that's the best he can do. But he would rather not have been. If it was his choice, he wouldn't have pressed the go button. All right? And that's a fact. And he doesn't see any point in somebody else pressing that go button. Why should you have the right to impose it? Again, because the DNA molecule gave you the keys, and you're going to use that as your excuse and your cop-out. You're not going to take responsibility. If one of your kids had been born with cerebral palsy or with their encephalitis or something, you would have subjected them to the medical process, years, decades maybe, of surgeries and suffering. Why? Because that's your stupid mission statement? Fuck you.
I see antinatalism, and there again we're going to get into a bit of dispute. A lot of antinatalists have suggested that nihilism means nothing matters, and that's absolutely wrong. Nihilism is the idea of reducing everything to nothing.
Well, how exactly is there a distinction there? Nothing really matters, or you reduce everything to nothing. Now, I think that's exactly the same statement, shithead. I mean, if everything's reduced to nothing, then nothing matters, right? Because nothing can matter. I mean, if there's nothing, nothing can matter. God, you're stupid.
What the French nihilistic philosophers taught Pol Pot, and that's why Pol Pot tried to reduce everything to nothing when he went bananas with the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia.
Well, whatever that means. Reduce everything to nothing? No, he wanted to reduce everything to a racial diagram and create an agrarian civilization, or whatever the right term for that is. It's the simple life.
Right? That's why he burnt everybody's right shoe and stockpiled their left shoe in a warehouse, and he killed anybody who had any education. All the teachers and scientists, he got rid of all of them. He moved everything.
Well, he got rid of the pollution, quote unquote, just like a lot of other dictators. So what? And what does you're going to say that Pol Pot was an anti-natalist now? Is that going to be your fucktarded argument? So the guy is racially discriminating and is anti-education, and so you're going to talk about being rude and talking about appropriating other people's suffering. Now you're appropriating all the deaths from Pol Pot and trying to claim they have something to do with nihilism or antinatalism. You're a fucking weasel.
Everybody out of the cities and into the jungle because he was reducing everything to nothing. And after reducing it to nothing,
So who buys this argument? What is this crock shit of crap? You don't think he had a plan? Is that what you're saying? His plan was to evaporate all the people? I don't think so, shithead.
I thought you could rebuild and get a better world. The antinatalists don't want to rebuild. They are hyper-nihilists.
Whatever. Again, what does nihilism have to do, nihilism, with, again, giving a shit about the welfare of others? It's not part of the philosophy. Nihilism philosophy is everything suffering doesn't matter somehow. And so it doesn't matter, your suffering doesn't matter, their suffering doesn't matter. You feel like raping and pillaging, go the fuck ahead, it doesn't matter.
Right? Which is pretty sad. You know, they're also very sensitive people who don't want to see suffering in the world, and they're prepared to have no kids in order to further that end.
Well, again, the having no kids thing, I didn't even have to be an anti-natalist to know I had no interest in playing God and being responsible for a risk experiment. I already knew that I wasn't going to, like, play with matches next door at my next door neighbor's house. I wasn't going to go walk over to my neighbor's house and start throwing matches around. Yeah, I wasn't going to take a risk with somebody else's welfare. I mean, I could figure that out when I was 7 fucking years old. I already knew the equation. I already knew this is done sloppy, and there's no way I was going to be a slob.
So, yeah, I don't agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from, and I like them.
Yeah, so you'll insult them. Fuck you.
Took me a while to like them because I thought they would be dangerous for people who were depressed to be exposed to, on the grounds that they would be pretty much counselling towards suicide.
Yeah, and again, that to by your standards, right? Again, it's to your standards. So somehow you think you have the right philosophy. Yeah, and you haven't defended it with anything but might makes right. Okay, because most people are deluded assholes, and we've seen the behavior of them all through history. We see what the deluded majority has created for us. We've seen what the God-bothering majority has done on this planet, and it was crap. Most of what the majority has believed in history has been crap. Yeah.
And I'm one of the people who is very glad not to have committed suicide when I was 21 and seriously thinking about it. So,
well, again, so another example of another reckless asshole, in my opinion. So you know the risk. You know that you had dark times in your life where you thought suicide, yeah, it makes sense to me because life is stupid. And somehow you recovered, okay, from your stupidity of thinking life was stupid, and something got, some kind of bug got up your butt that gave you this idea that there was some better purpose. And what did you do, though? You said, I'm going to go ahead and have kids, even though I know what it is to be in a place dark enough to want to kill myself. And yet you'll subject somebody else to that risk. And that's the kind of generous guy you are. Well, fuck you. I mean, I say anybody who has been suicidal and then decides to have kids, they have to be put right on the top of the colossal asshole list. You're the fucking nihilist shithead. I mean, you obviously don't give a fucking rat's ass about anything else's welfare but your own. And your own penis at the time. That's how enlightened you were.
On a gun barrel. And, you know, I'm also somebody who's had a stepson hang himself. And, you know, I wish he hadn't done that. And I think an awful lot of people who've got kids are terrified that the kid...
Well, why do you wish he hadn't done that? It was only a few seconds worth of suffering, right? We're not going to count the misery of his life, the things that provoked him to think his life has no purpose, and the struggle he might have gone through for years to try to make sense out of the idiocy that we call life on this stupid shithole. So you'll mock that pain. So I'm going to mock the death pain. I'm going to mock the meaning of the death. So fuck it. Why? No, it doesn't matter.
Might be exposed to somebody who counsels towards killing himself. Here we have the local
And again, and you're going to disqualify that choice. You're going to say that somehow you know what's in the best interest of people. And I say that's just bullshit, especially when you haven't made an argument that is anything near rational to sit there and show me one fucking thing that's worth it. Not one fucking thing. Give me the explanation of the human accomplishment that justifies even the suffering of one worst case scenario type life. One person with ALS, or one person with elephant man disease. They're out there right now, huge giant tumors, living horrid lives, not able to enjoy the simplest of human pleasures, just horrid existences. So you show me what is the grand brilliant thing that justifies it. There isn't anything, nothing. We're not even made of gold. I mean, we are nothing. We're stupid, wanting, grasping, fucking, educated flatworms.
White-wing chuffs. They're eating a burger ring, making a communal feast of it.
Yeah, they're scavenging, right. And their usual meal is what? Some little dead Joey, the little bits left over. His entrails.
Yeah. Look, see, you've got a big bit of burger ring. Now, those birds would just laugh in your face at the idea that life is nothing but suffering when living in the wild. They have a marvellous life. Really.
Yeah, until they're the one fettered. Until they're the ones who got maggots in their wing or some other kind of thing that happens to them and they slowly die. They forage on the ground or something like that until they're finally hunted down by a fox or something else, and it's their last day on Earth. And for what? For what? For what accomplishment? Oh, that's right. To merely run in a stupid wheel, to whap the stupid spokes in a stupid wheel, to doggy paddle with their head above the water and get nowhere. Just spin around in circles till something finally pushes you all the way down. Yeah, and you're going to call that an accomplishment. Why? Yeah, I don't know. Because you got fucking, DNA is stroking your anus.
Enjoy themselves. Yeah, so even though I like the antinatalists, I understand where they're coming from. I don't agree with them. I think it's not a coherent philosophy.
Yeah, well, guess what, fuckball? All right, them's fighting words, all right? I mean, really, I don't think you're in a position to decide what's coherent and what isn't coherent. I don't think you've qualified your opinion sufficiently. I think all you've done is slander antinatalists. You've attempted to call them weak, or attempted to call them, because they're paying so much attention to just 0.000000% of life experience. And everybody can trivialize that. Like I said, I mean, if we add up all your orgasms, we're probably not going to get to, 6 hours?
It's a counsel of despair, and I think it's pretty well wrong. I think to a very large...
I think, yeah. Unfortunately, you don't logically demonstrate or argue or prove or present any factual anything. You just say, I think. Well, fuck you.
I agree, antinatalism is underpinned by atheism, and atheism is a belief that there is no God. It's
which is perfectly rational. I mean, there's absolutely not one shred of evidence that any intelligence designed life on Earth or anything else in the universe. There's no intelligent components of the basic machinery. It's not functioned or arranged in any kind of intelligent manner. And the only thing that created the mock intelligence, and it's mock, was the replication of a DNA molecule, because that obliged matter to create weapons, and one of the weapons was intelligence by circumstance. That's why we have intelligence, not because it's a great thing to have, no, because it's a good weapon in a gladiator war. That's it. That's its bastard origin. Now, you want to find God somewhere in that crap, then you're qualifiable, in my opinion, as an idiot. There's no evidence that makes you an idiot.
Really different from agnosticism, which is no belief in any God. Atheism is a belief that there's no God, and because there's no God, there can't be any point to life. And because there's no God and no point to life, there can't be any, karmic payback or cosmic scoreboard effect. So atheists tend to find life
yeah, cosmics, whatever, payback. Yeah, there's no justice built into the universe. There's no fairness. There's no dignity. There's no grace. There's no real respect for beauty. There's nothing that we, through our cultured intelligence, through the best of our intelligence, could define as a value. Is it all respected by the universe? And that's a rather dismal, sad, and pitifully ugly reality to just benignly shove up your ass and accept. I say no. Till that penis is clean, it ain't going in my butt.
Pressing, and it's a cause for despair. Personally, I had kids due to my own conceit, to the effect that my DNA is good for living here, right?
Yeah, due to your own conceit. So you're a grown man, and you still hadn't gotten over your own conceit, and now you are this conceited enough to sit there and be lecturing other people on what you think with no evidence. So what does that make you? Oh, I know. Bogus. That's what it makes you. Bogus.
It's 1882 when my father's grandfather showed up around here. My DNA has been living within 50 miles of where I'm sitting at the moment.
Yeah, well, who the fuck cares? I could say my DNA is doing the same thing in the sense that I had sisters that all had kids. And theoretically, their DNA is only 50% removed from my DNA, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, theoretically, I have a kind of child. But it's bullshit. Who the fuck cares? Why the fuck would I think that's important? My DNA? I mean, you really do that thing, do you? You really waste time thinking about your DNA? Jeez, that's how enlightened.
And there's not too many people on the planet who can say that anymore. I know that there's too many people on the planet, and I know that most people are selfish, deluded psychotics, and they're headed down a silly track. And I like to think that...
Yeah, and you'd like to just say, keep it up. That's all you're saying. You're just saying, yeah, keep that moron ball rolling. Because that's the only thing that's going to happen here, you know. Like I said, the smart people have already figured out it's a stupid game, and they're not playing it. All right? And it's only the morons who are doing the reproducing. So if you educate the morons at all, your game is over. Okay? It's over. If we eliminated the dumbest 20% of the population, the fucking human race would die out. That's the reality, shithead.
I have raised my kids not to be fuckwits, and I'm pleased that I've had kids. And I think that my children...
well, I think I'm pleased, blah, blah. It's all about you, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's the difference between me and you. To me, it's not about me. It's about the future. It's about what's going to happen to these other individuals who are going to live in this fucking shit world, all right? And should we allow people to just keep rolling a ball up a fucking Sisyphus hill to accomplish absolutely nothing when it just ends up rolling back down over precious things? It's just stupid and idiotic. If you can't do the fucking thing right, you don't fucking goddamn do it.
Make humanity as a whole a less depressing mob of individuals, because my kids are not stupid and they're not fuckwits.
Yeah, so says every motherfucking idiotic moron, all right, on Earth. Right? Everybody's kids are all such special little fuckers. And you fall for that one. You're supposed to be an intelligent guy and you fall for something that fucking stupid. Yeah, well, because they got my DNA and they talk funny like me. I mean, what else they got going for them? What makes them so special compared to all the other kids? Everybody else is a fuckwit, but your kids aren't. Yeah, right.
And that's one reason for having kids, is if you think that there's reason to be conceited.
Yeah, well, it's got to be like, the words that are in the dumbass book, the words that dumbasses believe in. Conceit is one of them. I mean, it's about as illogical, as useless a human disposition that there is. Nothing good comes of it. It's absolute crap. And here you are saying that it's a word you want to make friends with. It's a word I find ugly. Okay, it's up there with anus and maggot and pus. Is the word conceit. It's something to be avoided, something to hate about yourself, not something to applaud.
And one of the funny things is that the way to spiritual advancement, according to the religious beliefs that I hold...
Well, really, who the fuck cares, right? According to the cartoons I've seen, shall I start a sentence that way? According to the fables, I haven't, tattooed on my arm, So this is somebody's supposed to take this crap seriously? Well, why don't I just read bubblegum wrappers? I mean, why don't I just go on the street and find any old asshole and say, what do you believe?
One of the best ways of spiritually advancing yourself is to have no kids, right? And dedicate your life to the generation already here.
Yeah, are the one that's going to live in the future. But again, the whole point of antinatalism isn't just about dedicating your life and sacrificing. Like I said, I didn't sacrifice. It wasn't antinatalism that made me non-reproductive. It was the fact that I saw absolutely no functional purpose in it. It could only satisfy an ego drive, and at best, for me personally, and at worst, it's just opening a door to huge, preposterous, insane liability for which I would be responsible. I don't know why the fuck I would bother with that. I mean, I could. I guess, like, you people really are just too stupid, right? You can't even think 10 days ahead. I mean, not only was I afraid of birth defects, I mean, starting off with somebody who is broken. My sister had, a cleft lip. Not the end of the world, but I mean, we know birth defects go deeper than that. They can be a lot worse than that. Now, if that doesn't scare you a little, just starting off, and then you got to worry about all the fucking bullshit that can happen to a kid, all the shit that just happens, and you got to be some kind of egomaniacal asshole who thinks what, you're going to be lucky, that somehow when you roll the dice, it's going to be lucky dice. And that's supposed to be applauded as the intelligent, reasonable perspective? I'm going to be lucky? No, that's called nonsense, you fuck.
So the antinatalists probably look pretty good in the eyes of God. Ciao.
Yeah, well, whatever. If God has eyes, I'm poking them the fuck out. Yeah. God needs his fucking testicles shoved into his eye sockets. Yeah, don't know. Listen.